What is up, everyone? Matt Worthington here. Welcome back to my channel where I talk about all things apartment locating, real estate, side hustles, motivation, inspiration, and getting ahead. Most of you watch my videos because of my real estate and apartment locating content. However, today I'm going to be talking about something a little bit different. And the reason I felt very passionate about making this video is because there are a lot of videos out there with young people that are in their teens or their 20s or early 30s making $1 million a year. And while all of us want to make $1 million a year that early on, for most of us, that's not very realistic, let's be honest. But getting into that six-figure point, I think is very realistic. And I think all of you guys can do that. And so I want to talk about how I did it and how I did it out of my first year of college without going to an Ivy League or without landing a job as an engineer or somebody in a very prestigious and sought after degree plan. Rather, I just went to a local public school. I started off at community college, but still managed to make six figures out of college my first year. And I think many of you can do this too if you kind of follow the guidelines that I'll give in this video. For those of you who don't know me, again, my name's Matt. Some of the things that I've done, I've wrote a book. I speak in front of high schools. I have a podcast. I run networking events. I work for a Fortune 500 company. I have a apartment locating company called Top Tier Locating. I've also worked for Apartments of Austin and just recently started working for Alexa & Co. Locators. And I just hustle, plain and simple, I hustle. And 100,000 didn't come easy, but I think all of us can do that. And I think we all realize that nothing worthwhile having comes easy. So whatever I can do to help you guys get there is really what I'm all about. The reason I started this channel was to help other people level up. It wasn't to show off my accomplishments or my accolades. It was just simply to try to help other people get there because it changed my life, and I feel very passionate about coaching and leading others to be the best that they can possibly be as well. So I just want to start off by saying thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you so much for the subscribes and the likes and the comments. You guys really fire me up to keep going. And whenever I see those numbers go up, it makes me feel very appreciative that you guys are taking the time to really watch my videos and my content. So thank you guys so much. But without further ado, let's kind of get into it. I want to explain a little bit about kind of where I started and how I got to the point of making six figures. It didn't happen overnight. And I know also there's probably people out here making 300, 400, 500, a million, 2 million, 10 million. So I'm just a little guy, I'm a small fish in a big pond, but I think that we all got to start somewhere. So I'm making these videos anyway, because I too hope to get to $1 million one day. But we got to start off small. We got to stay consistent. And if we do that, then that 7 figures will come. But right now we're at 6, and I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about how I got there. So background, started working when I was 13, 14, I think it was actually. Started working at the movie theater. I decided to give up sports, but rather get into making money. That was really what my drive, and I felt like what my calling was to work and just hustle and get after that. I always had that hustle mentality and that want and that longing for more. So I started working at the movie theater at 14 years old. And I did that for 5 years. I did it from the point I was a freshman in high school all the way until I was a freshman in college. And all in between, I worked mowing yards, just like many of us did. I was a lifeguard, and then I got into valet once I was a senior in high school and a freshman in college. And honestly, that's kind of where things changed. Whenever I started working as a valet, that's when I realized you can make a lot of money if you work in a industry that gives you tips and rewards you for your service. And so once I did that, I started to really think, man, like where else can I work and get tips and make a lot of money? But I couldn't think of anything that I would have really enjoyed doing more than valet. So I stuck with valet for a very long time. And part of the fact also was a lot of my friends worked as valets as well. And so I stayed there for, quite frankly, since then till now. You know, I got a full-time job. I work for a Fortune 500 company, but I still do valet on the side. I still do these side hustles because it is good money and I enjoy it. But I was lucky enough during that period of time for two things to happen. The first thing was my buddy Chris and I decided that we wanted to start like a landscaping company. We called it Texas Services. And Chris and I, we started mowing people's lawns, raking leaves, cleaning pools, cleaning gutters, trimming trees, trimming bushes, laying sod. I mean, the whole nine. We did it all. And we made great money. We made good connections. And it lasted for a little while, but it never really hit that peak where it took off and we made a bunch of money. But what it did teach me was there's something to that hustle mentality. There's something to going out and making money and selling yourself and getting business. And so I kind of got hooked on that. And then I went from there to trying to start a power washing company, and then a moving company, and then a car detailing company. And it just kind of snowballed and snowballed and snowballed into thinking, you know, it's great making $150, $200 per job, but how can I make $1,000 to $1,500 a job? And that's kind of when I got into apartment locating. But I'm getting a little too ahead of myself now. So the other thing that happened that really changed my life was during valet, I got approached by a gentleman, and he said, his name is Eddie Bernal. He owns 34th Street Catering downtown and Blue Moon, I think it's called, and Santa Rita Cafe, a bunch of really popular restaurants in Austin. But he told me, or he asked me, hey, are you interested in possibly ever driving around people rather than doing valet? Would you ever be a chauffeur? And it's nothing it wasn't really anything I thought about up to that point, but whenever someone comes to me with the two words idea and opportunity, I can't help but jump on the ball and get after it. And the money seemed good, so he put me in touch with a gentleman by the name of Roger Joseph, and I ended up working for Mr. Joseph for many, many years. We're still very good friends, but I drove him around for a really long time, taking him to different business meetings or dinner parties, taking him by the bank, taking him to meet clients, whatever else it was, or whatever it was that he needed, I helped him with. And to give you a background on him, he was a commercial real estate broker for many years and did very well. The Joseph family has been in Austin for many, many generations, and they're a very prominent family with lawyers and attorneys and doctors and the whole nine. And then through Mr. Joseph, I was introduced to a gentleman by the name of Rick Anderson. And Rick Anderson at one time owned the largest property management company in Austin. And in 2008, the real estate market crashed, and unfortunately, he lost a lot of that, but still was doing deals here and there and still had enough money to pay a chauffeur to drive him around. Similar things like business parties, dinner parties, meeting friends, clients, you know, all that stuff. And so both of them at the time were paying me $30 or $25 an hour plus gratuity. So it kind of came out to like $30 an hour. And while in college, that was incredible money. You know, I was doing that. I was doing the valet. I was doing all the side hustles with Chris. And I was making pretty damn good money. You know, just at 19 years old, 20 years old, I was making probably $50,000 a year between that stuff. And that allowed me to pay for college. You know, I was working every single week, and I was working during the weeknights. I was working during the week because I was taking my classes online. And I kept thinking, man, like if I'm 19, 20 and I'm making 50, 60,000 a year doing all this stuff, whenever I get a full-time job, like I think it's gonna be relatively easy to make six figures. And so, you know, I get through school and I intern at the company I currently work for, and then I graduate, and when I graduate, they started me off with a 60 base and a chance to make up to 80,000 in bonuses. So 60 plus 20 is 80. And then in addition to that, you get some reimbursement for, you know, car mileage and all that. So a chance to make 86 my first year. And I did, you know, I crushed it. I kicked butt. I hit all my bonuses, got all my quotas, and was on pace to make 86. However, COVID-19 happened, the pandemic happened, and I got furloughed. And like a lot of people, I hung my head for a little while. I was upset. I didn't know what the next step was. I applied for unemployment. I got unemployment. That was wonderful. But I've never had that mentality and that attitude to just sit back and let money come in. I got to go out and get it. I got to earn it. And so during that time, I picked up a job and I did yard work on the lake for a company. And I did that for 3 months while I was furloughed. I worked every single day. I put in 40, 50, 60-hour weeks, just hustling and grinding, cleaning people's pools, changing their lights, trimming the bushes, cutting the grass. I mean, all that, like I had done years before with Chris. I did it all over again. And as the unemployment was coming in, I didn't slow down. I picked up as much side work as I possibly could. And maybe it wasn't 40, 50, 60 hours a week, but it was something. And I'm proud of myself for that, that I kept going and kept getting after it. And for any of you watching, I'm saying this to encourage you to do the same. You just got to go out there and get after it and get it, attack every day and win every day. Be the best you can possibly be and never slow down. And it was during that time also that this book that I had been writing, I finally, completed it. I had a lot of downtime because I wasn't working full-time for the company I'm at, Henry Schein. Instead, I was, doing this yard work, and then nobody was going out because it was COVID and the pandemic was such a big deal that we all were forced to be at home. And I took a lot of that time to really let my creative juices flow and wrote my book, and then ultimately published it later that year. But anyway, I ended up getting hired back at Henry Schein, started kicking butt again, and then finished my first year, even despite not working for 3 months, full time. I was still getting my unemployment, and I was working, doing yard work and all other side hustles, helping people move, this and that, just making money left and right, and actually made more money during that 3-month period than I did on salary and with my bonuses if I would have just been at Henry Schein alone. So that just goes to show how much I was hustling and making money, and how much you can hustle and make money without having a full-time corporate job. But anyway, so after that happened, the latter half of the year, I realized, hey, I can do all these side hustles and work at Henry Schein, and I feel like I can balance that well because I proved to myself that I could work my tail off during that 3 months when I was furloughed from Henry Schein and was strictly doing the side hustles. And also it kind of lit a fire underneath my butt to pick that stuff back up. See, whenever I graduated from college and started at Henry Schein, I only focused on Henry Schein that first 3 months. And then March hit, the pandemic hit, and I got furloughed and got back into the side hustles. And I realized that I had missed doing that during that 3-month period. And so the latter half of the year, that last 6 months, I did it both. And I worked around the clock. I'd work at Henry Schein from, 7 in the morning or 8 in the morning until 5 o'clock. And then once 6 o'clock hit, I did side hustle jobs. I went and valeted, I went and chauffeured, I went and helped people out in their yards with moving jobs, whatever else it was, power washing, all the above. And then also on the weekends, I did these side hustles. And during that last half of the year, I just made so much damn money that I realized, if you can handle doing both a full-time job and a side hustle job, there is no excuse not to be able to make 6 figures. So at the very end of that first year, I was just curious to see what I had made. So I tallied everything up. And after my first year out of college, I had made $112,000. And that was life-changing because growing up, my whole goal was to make $100,000. And sure enough, it happened. And it was very reassuring that all that hard work that I'd put in since I was 14 years old finally paid off. And I was very proud of myself. It was just a good feeling, to be honest. But, from there, anybody who has that hustle mentality, will think, well, awesome, I got to $100,000, right? well, how can I get to $200,000? How can I get to $300,000? How can I get to 400, right? Like, and my goal has always been, whatever I make the year before, I'm not going to make less any year after that, right? So 110 my first year. Last year, my second year out of college, I made 130. And this year, I want to try to hit 200, excuse me. My goal is to hit 200,000 this year. I have my vision board right here to my right. I'm not going to turn the camera because I got it on the tripod and everything, but $200,000 is my goal for this year. And I believe I can do it, you know. But anyway, the point is, you know, we can all make six figures right out of college. Like, this is not out of reach. And so I'm actually gonna pause here because I want this to be a two-part video. The first part, kind of like the story, and then the second part, I want that to be like the tips and tricks of how to make you know, six figures your first year out of college.